Welcome back to my channel. Today, we explore the value of specific coins, the top 5 most valuable U.S. Lincoln Wheat penny coins value in today's market. So let's get started. First up, the 1940s Lincoln Wheat penny holds a unique place. While it is not considered an extremely rare coin, its value, even in a dirty or circulated condition, can be surprising to some collectors or casual holders. This video will explore the coin's background, minting details, and most importantly, its value in today's market, specifically focusing on the 1940 penny with an S mint mark in less than perfect condition. The Lincoln Wheat penny was first minted in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent, and it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features a right-facing profile of Lincoln. On the reverse side of the coin, there are 2 wheat stalks encircling the words 1 cent and the United States of America. This wheat design was used until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The 1940s Lincoln Wheat penny was minted in San Francisco. During that year, over 112 million of these coins were struck, making it a relatively common issue compared to other dates in the series. Because of this large mintage, it's not categorized among the rarest Lincoln Wheat pennies, but condition and collector interest still play significant roles in its value. When it comes to coins, condition is everything. In numismatics, this is referred to as the coin's grade. A coin in mint state condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear and retains full luster, will always be worth more than the same coin in a worn or dirty state. However, many collectors and enthusiasts are interested in coins regardless of their condition, particularly if they are from a significant historical period or feature a sought-after mint mark. The 1940s penny, being minted in San Francisco, carries the S mint mark just below the date on the obverse. This distinguishes it from the Philadelphia and Denver issues of the same year. The S mint mark adds a certain appeal to collectors who aim to complete sets including coins from all 3 mints. Now, turning our attention to the value of the 1940s Lincoln Wheat penny in dirty or heavily circulated condition. It is important to clarify what we mean by dirty. A dirty coin typically refers to a coin that has accumulated surface grime, discoloration, or corrosion from years of circulation. Such coins may not necessarily be heavily worn, but their eye appeal is reduced due to the presence of dirt or other substances on the surface. The presence of dirt, however, does not always equate to reduced value. In fact, cleaning a coin to remove dirt is discouraged in numismatics. Cleaning can leave fine scratches, dull the surface, or otherwise damage the coin, leading to lower overall value. Professional graders and collectors prefer coins in their natural state, even if they appear unattractive at first glance. A 1940s Lincoln Wheat penny in circulated condition, even if dirty, generally holds a value above face value. This is because the coin is now over 80 years old and no longer produced. As of the current market trends in 2025, a dirty or well-worn 1940s penny typically sells for between 5 cents to 25 cents, depending on the severity of the wear and the level of grime. If the coin is just lightly soiled but retains readable details in a visible mint mark, it may command closer to the higher end of that range. In bulk sales, such as a collection of wheat pennies sold together, individual 194 OS coins in dirty, the condition may be valued even less, perhaps around 3 to 5 cents per coin, because bulk buyers tend to pay based on volume and weight rather than individual attributes. However, in one-on-one sales, especially if the coin is marketed as a specific date and mint mark, it can sell for a bit more. There is also a psychological aspect to coin value. A coin might not have significant intrinsic worth but may be perceived as valuable because of its age or historical character. Many people find wheat pennies fascinating because they represent an earlier period of American history. They might not be rare, but they are certainly nostalgic. Another factor influencing the value of the 1940s penny is the copper content. Like all pre-1982 pennies, the 1940s was made primarily of copper. These coins contain about 95% copper and weigh 3.11 grams. When copper prices are high, the metal value of the coin can approach or even exceed its collector value. However, melting coins for their metal content is illegal under U.S. law, so this value is more theoretical than practical for most collectors. In dirty condition, the value will not approach that of coins in higher grades. For example, a 1940s Lincoln Wheat penny graded MS65, read by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, can sell for over $10 to $20, sometimes more depending on market demand. Coins with exceptional eye appeal, or those in mint state red condition, meaning they retain nearly all of their original color and luster, can fetch prices upwards of $50 or higher. But in circulated dirty condition, we are mostly dealing with modest values. Nonetheless, even modest values can add up if someone finds a jar of wheat pennies tucked away in a drawer or passed down from a relative. A handful of 1940s pennies, even in poor condition, may be worth a few dollars collectively and provide a gateway into the hobby of coin collecting. Another aspect to consider is that some people look for errors or variations in coins, which can sometimes lead to surprisingly high values. Although no major errors are commonly associated with the 1940s Lincoln wheat penny, minor die cracks, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks do occasionally surface. These errors, if authenticated and sought after by collectors, can significantly increase a coin's value even in circulated condition. In such cases, values can reach several dollars, even if the coin is otherwise dirty or worn. Collectors often advise people not to clean coins they intend to sell or preserve. Removing the dirt may seem like a good idea, but any abrasive cleaning can severely hurt the value. A coin that appears dull and lifeless after cleaning is often less desirable than one that has aged naturally, even if it is dirty. In numismatics, originality is often preferred over artificial brightness. In summary, the 1940s Lincoln wheat penny, though common, still holds value in the current market. For a coin in dirty or circulated condition, the typical range is around 5 to 25 cents depending on appearance and market demand. While it may not be a windfall, the value lies not only in the dollars and cents but in the historical connection, the enjoyment of collecting, and the small thrill of finding a coin that has passed through countless hands over the decades. Next up, the 1940 penny without a mint mark is one that often sparks curiosity. Today, we're diving into this specific coin to explore its history, details, and most importantly, its value in today's market even when found in dirty or circulated condition. Let's start with a little background. The Lincoln wheat penny was first minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a president's portrait, a significant departure from earlier coin designs that typically featured symbolic imagery. The reverse side of the coin displays two wheat stalks, giving the coin its familiar nickname, the wheat penny. The 1940 Lincoln wheat penny was produced in large quantities, with over 586 million coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Coins from this mint do not carry a mint mark. So when you find a 1940 penny without any letter under the date, you're looking at a Philadelphia issue. Because of this high mintage, the 1940 penny is generally considered common among wheat pennies. However, certain factors can influence its value significantly. When it comes to coin collecting and valuation, condition is one of the most important elements. Professional grading organizations like PCGS and NGC use a 70-point scale to grade coins, with 1 being the lowest, or poor, and 70 being a perfect mint-state coin. A dirty 1940 Lincoln wheat penny, particularly one that has seen considerable circulation, will typically fall at the lower end of that scale. This means its grade might be anywhere from good to fine, depending on the level of wear and any damage. A common question people have is, does a dirty coin have any value at all? The answer is yes, though the value is modest. Even heavily circulated and dirty 1940 pennies hold some value due to their copper content and historical interest. Unlike modern pennies, which are made mostly of zinc, wheat pennies contain about 95% copper. This intrinsic metal value can play a small part in determining a coin's worth, especially when copper prices rise. As of today, in the general marketplace, a 1940 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark and in dirty or average circulated condition, typically sells for around 5 to 15 cents. This price can fluctuate slightly depending on the demand for wheat pennies and the overall state of the coin. If a coin is excessively worn, corroded, or scratched, it might bring closer to the lower end of that range. On the other hand, if the coin is just a little dirty but otherwise has strong details, it may fetch a bit more. Now, what makes some 1940 pennies stand out from others? Even though the base coin is common, there are rare variations and error coins that can be worth significantly more. Some 1940 pennies may have striking errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. These errors are rare and not always visible at first glance. If you suspect you have an error coin, it's best to have it evaluated by a professional. Error coins, even in circulated condition, can be worth several dollars to several $100s, depending on the nature and rarity of the error. Another factor that adds value is the eye appeal. While your coin may be dirty, a careful and safe cleaning not recommended unless done by a professional can sometimes reveal better detail that increases the coin's grade and therefore its value. However, collectors generally prefer coins in their original, unclean state. Improper cleaning can damage a coin and reduce its value significantly. If you have a 1940 Lincoln wheat penny and you're considering selling it, you have several options. You could take it to a local coin dealer for an appraisal, sell it online through platforms like eBay, or included as part of a bulk lot if you have other wheat pennies, while one coin alone, in dirty condition, may not bring a large sum. Grouping it with others can appeal to beginner collectors or crafters who use old coins in art projects. There's also a sentimental and educational value in coins like these. Even if your 1940 penny is only worth 10 cents, it's a small piece of American history. This coin has passed through many hands over the decades and has its own story to tell. It reminds us of a different era, when items like a penny had more purchasing power and Abraham Lincoln's legacy was honored in everyday transactions. For collectors just getting started, wheat pennies like the 1940 no-mint mark coin offer a great entry point. They're inexpensive, widely available, and a perfect way to begin learning about grading, mint marks, and U.S. coin history. You might even start a collection by year, or look for variations like steel cents from 1943, or the rare 1909 SVD penny. In summary, a 1940 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark and in dirty or heavily circulated condition, is generally worth around 5 to 15 cents in today's market. While not a rare or high-value coin, it still holds interest for collectors, especially beginners or those looking for coins to fill out a wheat penny collection. Always remember, the story behind the coin often adds more value than just the number attached to it. Whether you're holding on to it for sentimental reasons, hoping to complete a collection, or just curious about its worth, your 1940 penny is a small but enduring piece of American numismatic history. Next up, 1952 Lincoln wheat penny. When it carries the Denver Mint mark indicated by a small d beneath the date, it becomes what is known as the 1952D wheat penny. Now, this might not seem like a rare coin at first glance. Over 746 million of them were minted at the Denver Mint in that year alone. However, when it comes to coin collecting, rarity isn't just about mintage numbers. Other factors come into play, such as condition, color, and die varieties. Today, we'll be taking a closer look at the 1952D Lincoln wheat penny, specifically in black-toned or dark-shaded condition, a characteristic that can affect its value significantly. We'll break down its history, design, condition considerations, and most importantly, what this coin is worth in today's market. The obverse of the 1952D wheat penny features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Facing right, the words, "In God We Trust," are inscribed above his head, with liberty to his left and the year 1952 to his right. Just below the date, the D mint mark represents the Denver Mint. The reverse side displays two wheat ears that curve inward from the left and right edges of the coin, framing the phrases 1 cent and United States of America. Above this is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many. Collectors grade coins based on their condition, and this plays a crucial role in determining a coin's value. For wheat pennies, the grading scale ranges from poor P1 to mint state MS70. But even within those grades, the color and toning of the coin can greatly influence its market appeal and, ultimately, its price. A black or dark-toned Lincoln penny may appear different from the traditional red or brown ones, and its value can vary depending on whether the toning occurred naturally or as a result of damage or improper storage. Natural toning occurs over time as the metal reacts with air and moisture. Collectors sometimes prize these unique colorations when they add character without damaging the coin's details. On the other hand, coins that have turned black due to corrosion or exposure to harsh chemicals often lose value unless they are exceptionally rare or have historical significance. In the case of the 1952D Lincoln wheat penny, black or dark coloration usually falls into the category of environmental damage. This doesn't necessarily make the coin worthless, but it usually lowers its collector value, especially if the toning obscures the coin's features. That said, there are exceptions. If a black-shaded 1952D penny is in high grade, say, mint state 65 or higher, and has eye appeal, despite its toning, it could still fetch a decent price on the market. Toning is highly subjective, and what one collector sees as damage, another might view as a unique aesthetic. Now let's talk about market value. In circulated condition, a typical 1952D Lincoln wheat penny is worth about 3 to 10 cents. These coins are common and are often found in mixed rolls or bulk lots of wheat pennies, even in better circulated grades. Like very fine VF or extremely fine EF, the value doesn't rise significantly, maybe up to 25 cents, especially if the coin has good detail and minimal surface damage. In uncirculated condition, however, the value changes dramatically. A 1952D wheat penny graded MS62 MS63 can be worth between 75 cents and $3. If the coin is red, that is, it retains its original mint luster and is in a high grade like MS65 or MS66. Its value could range from $10 to $25 or more, depending on demand and the coin's eye appeal. The black coloration adds a layer of complexity. A black 1952D penny in circulated condition typically does not command a premium. In fact, it might be discounted compared to its brown or red counterparts due to perceived damage or lack of visual appeal. You might see these coins sold in lots or online auctions for as little as a few cents each. Unless the toning is judged to be attractive or the coin is part of a broader collector theme like toned coins or oddities. However, in exceptional cases, black-toned 1952D pennies that grade highly and maintain sharp details can be sold for higher prices, especially if a collector finds the toning visually appealing. A certified slabbed example in MS condition with dark or black toning and good strike quality might bring in $5 to $15 if marketed well. But this is the exception rather than the rule. Another factor influencing value is errors or die varieties. The 1952D penny does not have many well-known varieties, but minor errors like die cracks, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks can exist. If such an error is present on a black-colored coin and the details are still visible, the value could go up. Error collectors might pay $20 to $50 or more for unusual features, even if the coin is toned or darkened. To summarize, the 1952D Lincoln wheat penny is a common coin in circulated grades, with millions still in existence. Its base value in average condition is very low, just a few cents. Uncirculated examples can be worth several dollars, particularly if they retain original red luster. Black or dark-toned coins are generally less desirable to traditional collectors, unless they are high-grade or exhibit interesting natural toning. In today's market, a black 1952D wheat penny in average circulated condition might sell for around 5 to 10 cents. In higher uncirculated grades, especially if certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, it could be worth $5 to $15, possibly more if the toning is deemed attractive or if the coin has an unusual error. For collectors, it's important to evaluate each coin on its own merits. The 1952D wheat penny may not be the rarest or most valuable Lincoln cent, but it's part of a beloved series that continues to be a gateway into the world of coin collecting. Whether your coin is red, brown, or black in tone, what matters most is how it fits into your collection and the story it tells. Next up, the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny with the Denver mint mark, also known as the 1941D wheat cent. We'll take a detailed look at this coin's background, its design, mintage numbers, and most importantly, its value in today's market particularly. In good circulated condition, if you have one of these coins in your possession, you might be wondering if it's worth anything significant. Let's find out. To start, the 1941D Lincoln wheat penny is part of a larger series of wheat cents that were minted from 1909 to 1958. These coins are called wheat pennies because of the stylized wheat stalks on the reverse side of the coin. The 1941D version was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small d mint mark just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. The obverse of the coin features a profile portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The image has been iconic since its introduction in 1909, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Above Lincoln's head, the words "In God We Trust" appear. To the left, you'll see the word Liberty, and to the right is the date, in this case, 1941, along with the D Mint mark denoting the Denver Mint. Turning the coin over to the reverse side, you'll notice two stylized wheat stalks framing the sides. Between them, the words 1 cent are prominently displayed, along with United States of America underneath. Above that is the motto E pluribus unam, which means out of many, one. In terms of mintage, the 1941D penny was produced in large numbers. The Denver Mint struck approximately 128 million of these coins in 1941. That high mintage means the coin is not particularly rare, at least not in lower circulated grades. However, condition and demand still play a significant role in determining value. So, how much is a 1941D Lincoln wheat penny worth today? That largely depends on its condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. The coin grading scale, known as the Sheldon scale, ranges from poor P1 to perfect mint state MS70. For this video, we're focusing on coins that are in what collectors call good condition. This is the lowest level of the circulated grades and is typically defined by a coin that is heavily worn but still identifiable. On such a coin, most of the finer details, like Lincoln's hair and the wheat lines on the reverse, are worn flat. But the key design elements remain visible. In today's market, a 1941D Lincoln wheat penny in good condition is worth about 5 to 10 cents. Might not sound like much, and truthfully, it isn't a fortune. However, that's still 5 to 10 times its face value, which is a decent return if you found it in a pile of pocket change or in a forgotten coin jar. It also highlights how even common coins can retain some value over time due to historical interest and collector demand. Now, While the average good condition 1941D wheat penny may not be worth much, it's important to consider other factors that can affect value. One of these is eye appeal. Even a coin that is technically in good condition may fetch a higher price if it has a uniform tone, lacks major scratches or corrosion, and has decent overall color. Another factor to keep in mind is whether the coin has any errors or varieties. For example, some 1941D Lincoln cents have been found with minor die cracks, repunched, mint marks, or doubled dies. These varieties can be more valuable, even in circulated grades. A coin with a repunched mint mark, where the D was struck more than once in slightly different positions, can be worth a few dollars even in lower grades. If the error is dramatic or well documented, prices can be significantly higher. It's also worth mentioning that even though the 1941D coin was made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, its metal value is negligible. The copper content of a single penny is not enough to exceed its face value due to regulations that prevent the melting of U.S. pennies for raw materials. However, the copper composition does give the coin a distinctive reddish-brown tone, which can influence a collector's appreciation for eye appeal. Another interesting aspect is the historical context. The year 1941 marked the United States' entry into World War II following the attack on Pearl Harbor in December. Although this didn't impact penny production directly that year, coins from this era often carry additional historical appeal for collectors who are interested in warrior memorabilia. While the good condition 1941D penny is modest in value, the same coin in higher grades tells a different story. For instance, in extremely fine condition, the coin might be worth about 50 cents to $1. In about uncirculated condition, values climb toward $1.50 or more. And in mint state, especially coins graded MS63 and above, values can range from $3 to $10 or even higher, depending on luster, strike, and eye appeal for coins in top-tier grades, particularly MS65 or MS66, certified by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC. Values can exceed $20 or more. The highest auction prices for a 1941D Lincoln cent have approached or surpassed $100, but only in superb gem condition with exceptional quality. If you think you have a 1941D wheat penny and you're curious about its potential value, the best thing to do is first evaluate its condition. Use online grading guides or consult a local coin dealer. If you believe the coin might be in higher grade or has a possible error, you may even consider having it graded by a professional service. That, in conclusion, the 1941D Lincoln wheat penny is a common coin with a modest value in good condition, usually worth between 5 and 10 cents. However, it remains a popular collectible due to its classic design, historical context, and role in one of the most beloved series in American numismatics. While it won't make you rich, it's a great reminder of the value of history, craftsmanship, and the hidden treasures that might be sitting in your change jar right now. Next up, the 1940 Lincoln wheat penny minted in Denver, designated by the small d mint mark, found just below the date on the obverse side. This script will focus specifically on the 1940D Lincoln wheat penny, examining its history, mintage numbers, and most importantly, its current value in the coin market when found in normal, circulated condition. To begin, it's essential to understand the background of the coin. The 1940D penny was produced during a time when the U.S. Mint was churning out large quantities of coinage. In that year alone, the Denver Mint struck over 81 million Lincoln pennies. That number might seem staggering, and it is, especially when compared to rarer mintages in other years. Because of this high mintage, the 1940D penny is not considered rare in the absolute sense. However, certain factors like condition, luster, and strike quality can impact its value. From a historical standpoint, the 1940D penny was produced at the tail end of the Great Depression and just before the United States entered World War II. The economy was beginning to recover, and coin production was ramping up to meet increasing demand. These coins were made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the standard composition for Lincoln pennies from 1909 until 1942. This copper-based alloy gives the coin its classic reddish-brown hue. When assessing the value of any coin, the most important factor is condition. Professional grading services, such as the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, use a standardized 70-point scale to determine a coin's grade. For most casual collectors, however, coins are simply categorized as circulated or uncirculated. A coin in circulated condition has been used in daily transactions and will show signs of wear. Uncirculated coins are those that have never been used and retain their original mint luster. Since the focus here is on coins in normal, circulated condition, we will exclude premium uncirculated or mint state coins from this discussion. Instead, let's consider what a typical 1940D penny might look like after decades of use. You can expect such a coin to have significant wear on Lincoln's hair and cheek, flattening in the wheat stalks on the reverse, and potentially small nicks or scratches. In terms of market value, a 1940D Lincoln wheat penny in average circulated condition generally sells for between 5 and 15 cents. Yes, this is more than its face value of 1 cent, but not dramatically so. The reason for this modest premium is the coin's common nature and large mintage. Still, there is consistent demand for these coins among beginners and those building day-10 mint sets. Coins in slightly better than average condition, those that retain more detail and show less wear, can fetch slightly higher prices. These might range from 25 cents to 50 cents depending on the exact grade and appearance. If a coin shows a particularly strong strike or has a more original red color rather than the typical brown or dull patina of older copper coins, it may appeal to more advanced collectors and command a bit more. It's important to note that pricing for circulated coins fluctuates slightly with the broader coin market and the price of copper. As of mid-2025, copper prices have been relatively stable, so melt value doesn't significantly impact the coin's worth. Because the coin is a numismatic item rather than bullion, its collector value holds more weight than its metal content. One of the reasons some people believe their 1940D penny is worth a fortune is because of misinformation or confusion with error coins or coins in exceptional condition. For example, a 1940D penny graded MS67, read by PCGS or NGC, can sell for several $100s at auction, sometimes even more if it's among the finest known examples. However, these coins are in pristine, mint-state condition and have never been used in circulation. They are extremely rare and are not the same as the average coins found in pocket change, jars, or inherited collections. When looking to sell a 1940D penny in circulated condition, your best bet is through local coin shops, online marketplaces, like eBay or coin shows. On eBay, a quick search reveals that typical circulated 1940D pennies sell in lots such as groups of 10 or 50 coins for a few dollars. Individually, they are often listed for under $1, but actual sale prices usually fall in the range of 10 to 20 cents, depending on the listing and demand at the time. For buyers or collectors interested in adding a 1940D penny to their collection, the advantage lies in affordability. It's a low-cost way to own a piece of American numismatic history and a good entry point for beginners. Many collectors strive to complete a full set of Lincoln wheat pennies from 1909 to 1958, which includes the 1940D. Because this coin is widely available, it's one of the easiest to acquire in the series. To sum up, the 1940D Lincoln wheat penny is not considered rare in the world of coin collecting. Its high mintage means millions still exist, and many are available in circulated condition. In today's market, a 1940D penny in average circulated condition typically holds a value between 5 and 15 cents. Coins in better shape can reach 25 to 50 cents. And exceptionally well-preserved examples graded by a professional service can reach values in the hundreds of dollars, though that falls outside the scope of normal circulated examples. If you're someone who's found a 1940D penny in a coin jar, drawer, or inherited collection, it's a nice keepsake and a reminder of America's rich monetary history. While it may not buy you anything extravagant, it's a great piece for anyone starting a coin collection or simply appreciating the legacy of Lincoln's enduring presence on U.S. currency. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you in next time. Happy collecting.
In 2009, to celebrate the 200th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent, the United States Mint did something historic. For the first time in a century, the reverse design of the Lincoln penny was changed not just once, but 4 times in a single year. Each of these 4 designs reflected a different chapter in Lincoln's remarkable life. These coins were not just change in your pocket. They were small, everyday monuments to America's most beloved president. The obverse or front of each 2009 penny remained the same, with Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Lincoln that first appeared in 1909. But the back was entirely transformed, offering collectors and the public a rare opportunity to hold history in their hands. And what makes these 2009 Lincoln pennies even more special, that many of them were struck with no mint mark, especially those produced in Philadelphia. When you come across a 2009 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, it means it was made at the Philadelphia Mint, which, unlike Denver or San Francisco, traditionally does not include a mint mark on most of its coins. Now, while millions of these coins were produced for circulation, many people held onto them as keepsakes, and finding uncirculated examples today with brilliant luster and no signs of wear is becoming increasingly rare. These uncirculated 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial pennies are more than just coins. They are physical timelines of Lincoln's journey from a humble log cabin to the White House. Let's walk through each of the 4 reverse designs released in 2009. The first design is known as the Birth and Early Childhood in Kentucky penny. It features a simple log cabin representing the place where Abraham Lincoln was born in 1809. This design symbolizes his humble beginnings and the values of hard work and simplicity that shaped him from the start. The second reverse design, called Formative Years in Indiana, shows a young Lincoln sitting on a log, reading a book, with a mallet in one hand and a tool nearby. This image is powerful. It captures Lincoln's self-education and his early work as a rail splitter. He was a thinker and a laborer, and this penny design beautifully combines both. The third design is Professional Life in Illinois, where Lincoln is depicted standing in front of the state capitol in Springfield. This coin marks Lincoln's emergence as a lawyer, statesman, and representative. It tells the story of how a man from the frontier rose to political prominence by dedication, knowledge, and honest leadership. Finally, the fourth design, Presidency in Washington, D.C., shows the U.S. Capitol dome under construction, symbolizing the unfinished work Lincoln faced as he led a divided nation through the Civil War. It's a poignant and powerful image, reflecting Lincoln's most difficult and impactful chapter. Now, what about the value of these coins? While circulated 2009 Lincoln pennies typically fetch face value in most conditions, uncirculated examples, especially those with strong luster, no contact marks, and sharp detail are becoming increasingly collectible. A full set of all 4 2009 designs in uncirculated condition, with no mint mark, can sell for $3 to $5 or more depending on quality. Individual coins in pristine uncirculated condition, especially those graded Ms. 65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGs or NGC, can command values of $5 to $15 per coin or even higher, especially if they show excellent strike and eye appeal. And here's something most people don't know. In addition to the standard copper-plated zinc coins, the U.S. Mint also released special versions of these 2009 pennies in 95% copper composition, similar to the original 1909 Lincoln cents. These copper versions were only available in special collector sets, not in general circulation. If you're lucky enough to come across a 2009 no mint mark copper penny in brilliant uncirculated condition, its value could easily jump to $10 to $25 or more if professionally graded. Another key factor collectors consider is strike quality. Many 2009 Lincoln cents, particularly from Philadelphia, suffered from weak strikes, soft details, and die deterioration. So when a sharp, well-struck, uncirculated coin shows up with no mint mark, full detail in Lincoln's face and the reverse design, and a flawless surface, that coin stands out. It's not just pocket change, it's a collector's piece. Next up, in 2009, the United States Mint issued a special one-year series of pennies to honor the 200th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was a celebration not only of the man, but of the American values he stood for: hard work, perseverance, and rising from humble beginnings. These coins became known as the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cents, and each of the 4 designs tells a chapter of Lincoln's life. Among them, the very first release in the series, the Birth and Early Childhood penny, holds special historical and collector value, especially in uncirculated condition and bearing the D Mint mark, representing the Denver Mint. The obverse or front of the coin still features the classic profile of President Lincoln, originally sculpted by Victor David Brenner in 1909. A portrait so iconic it has now remained on the penny for over a century. But what truly distinguishes this coin is its reverse, a simple log cabin set among trees, symbolizing Abraham Lincoln's birth and early years in Hardin County, Kentucky, now LaRue County, in the early 1800s. The scene is stark, rustic, and honest, just like the world Lincoln was born into on February 12, 1809. This design is more than a cabin. It is a tribute to modest beginnings, a reminder that one of America's greatest presidents started life in a one-room structure with no luxury, no privilege, and no guarantees. It represents Lincoln's core values of self-reliance, humility, and determination. The 2009 birth and early childhood Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, and it carries the D Mint mark just below the date on the obverse side. Unlike coins from the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally lack a mint mark, coins from Denver are easily identified. In 2009, the Denver Mint struck over 350 million of these log cabin pennies for circulation. However, very few of them were saved in truly uncirculated, mint state condition. So, what makes an uncirculated 2009 birth and early childhood penny valuable? In circulated condition, meaning it's been used and change, showing signs of wear, this penny is worth face value. But when the coin is found in brilliant and circulated condition, with no scratches, no fingerprints, and full mint luster, its value increases significantly among collectors, even more so if it has been professionally graded by services like PCGs or NGC, and received a grade of Ms. 65 or higher. A raw uncirculated example, without certification, but showing full red color and no wear, can sell for $0.5 to $2.0 depending on eye appeal and detail. But certified coins graded Ms. 66 or Ms. 67 can sell for $10 to $30 or more, especially if they show exceptional surfaces and strong detail. In fact, the highest graded examples, Ms. 68 red, have sold for over $150 in some auctions due to their scarcity at that level. These are the coins with zero contact marks, sharp strike, and flawless luster, the best of the best. Collectors also look for rare varieties. Some rare 2009 Lincoln cents show die cracks, extra thickness, or strike, doubling on the cabin or text. These minting anomalies, though uncommon, add premium value for rare coin enthusiasts. But even beyond price, this coin holds educational and patriotic significance. It's a piece of American storytelling, a tiny reminder that greatness can come from the most humble places. The cabin on this coin isn't just a building, it's the birthplace of an American legacy. So, if you have a 2009 birth, an early childhood Lincoln bicentennial penny tucked away in a roll, a folder, or a forgotten change jar, take a closer look. If it's uncirculated and gleaming with full red color, you may be holding onto a small piece of history with growing collector value. And remember, preserving its condition is key. Store it in a protective 2x2 holder. Avoid touching the surface, and keep it in a dry, temperature-stable environment to protect its luster and value over time. It may be small, faded, and forgotten, but every worn Carn Q coin has a story to tell. Today, we take a closer look at a simple yet historical coin that may be sitting in your pocket or hidden in an old jar, the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny, in worn condition. Though it may not shine like silver or glitter like gold, this little piece of copper carries with it the weight of post-war America, and a design that has remained a favorite among collectors for over a century. The 1949 wheat cent, officially called the Lincoln cent, was struck just 4 years after World War II ended. The United States was transitioning from a wartime economy to a booming industrial power. The country was healing, building, and moving forward. And in that era of growth, the Lincoln penny quietly continued to circulate, a trusted, everyday coin in the hands of millions of Americans. The obverse, or front, of the coin features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDBR, can be found subtly on the reverse, near the rim. Lincoln's portrait, strong and timeless, was first introduced in 1909, and remains on the penny to this day. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust." To the left is "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1949. Some examples will have a mint mark below the date, a small d for the Denver Mint, or an S for the San Francisco Mint. If there is no mint mark, your coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the iconic wheat reverse, which gives the coin its nickname, wheat penny. Two curved stalks of wheat frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above, in bold letters, it reads E pluribus unum Latin for of many, one. This reverse design was used from 1909 to 1958, before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. But what is a 1949 wheat penny in worn condition really worth? Well, millions were made. 217 million in Philadelphia, 153 million in Denver, and around 64 million in San Francisco. Because of this high mintage, 1949 pennies are common in circulated condition, and many are still found today in pocket change, coin jars, and old collections. In worn condition, meaning the coin has been heavily circulated and shows smooth surfaces, flat details, and discoloration. The typical value is 1 to 3 cents. These coins are not rare, but they are still special. They are relics of a time when candy cost a penny and gas was just 17 cents a gallon. They carry stories of hands they passed through, from soldiers returning home to factory workers and farmers across America. That said, collectors still hold value in worn coins, especially if the coin has no damage beyond natural wear. Even in low-grade condition, a 1949 wheat penny can be a great addition for someone building a date and mint set of Lincoln cents. However, condition matters. Coins with scratches, corrosion, deep discoloration, or cleaning damage may be considered damaged and not collectible. But even worn coins that age naturally with the soft, uniform brown tone are appreciated for their authenticity and history. On the other hand, uncirculated examples of the 1949 wheat penny, those that were never used and retain full mint luster, can fetch $2 to $10 or more, and professionally graded high-end coins in Ms. 66 red can sell for $50 to $100 or higher, depending on eye appeal and rarity. So, what should you do if you find a worn 1949 wheat penny? Hold on to it. It may not make you rich, but it's a genuine piece of American numismatic history. It's a coin that traveled through decades, through changing hands, through eras of hope, struggle, and progress. It may be worth only a penny, but the story it tells is priceless. In the palm of your hand lies a simple copper coin, easy to overlook, yet rich with history. Today, we explore the story and value of the 1967 United States 1-cent coin, better known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent, in fine condition. It's a coin that's common in circulation, but carries the legacy of a transformative period in American history. The obverse, or front of the coin, features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. In 1909, his image has stood the test of time, making the Lincoln cent the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. To the left of Lincoln's profile is the word liberty, and to the right is the date, 1967. Above his head, as always, is the national motto, "In God We Trust." But look closely, you'll notice something missing. There's no mint mark beneath the date. That's not a mistake. In fact, it's part of a unique decision the U.S. Mint made during the mid-1960s. At the time, the United States was experiencing a coin shortage, largely driven by rising silver prices and growing public interest in coin collecting. In an effort to stabilize the coin supply and discourage hoarding, the U.S. Mint decided to remove mint marks from all coins minted in 1965, 1966, and 1967, regardless of whether they were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. So, every 1967 penny you find will lack a mint mark. It's a product of its time, a result of economic pressure and strategic minting policy. While this makes it harder to determine where a 1967 penny was struck, it also makes the coin unique in U.S. numismatic history. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, the iconic monument in Washington, D.C., which first appeared on the back of the penny in 1959, commemorating Lincoln's 150th birthday. Between the columns, if you look closely, you can even see a tiny image of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, the only U.S. coin to feature the same person on both sides. Above the memorial, the inscription reads United States of America, and just below that is the Latin phrase E pluribus unum, meaning love many, one. At the bottom, the denomination is boldly stated, 1 cent. Now, let's talk about value. The 1967 Lincoln penny was struck in copper-plated bronze, consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc, which gives the coin its rich brown-red color. In total, the U.S. Mint produced over 3 billion Lincoln cents in 1967, more than 2.2 billion in Philadelphia alone. Because of this high mintage, the 1967 penny is very common, especially in circulated condition. In fine condition, meaning moderate wear, visible details, and no major damage, this coin is typically worth just face value, or around 1 to 3 cents. Today, we're diving into the world of a coin that's nearly a century old, the 1929 Lincoln wheat penny. In bad condition. Though scratched, worn, or darkened by time, it's still a small piece of American history that survived the Great Depression, World War II, and everything in between. Let's begin with the basics. The 1929 wheat cent is part of the long-running Lincoln wheat penny series, which was produced from 1909 to 1958. On the obverse, or front, you'll find a profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This same portrait, introduced in 1909, is still used on pennies today, making it the longest-running coin portrait in U.S. history. To the left of Lincoln is the word Liberty, and to the right, the date, 1929. Below the date, you might see a small mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco. If there's no mint mark, the coin was struck in Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the classic wheat ears reverse, 2 curved stalks of wheat, framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the phrase E pluribus unum, where for out of many, one. Now, let's talk mintage. In 1929, the United States Mint struck 185 million wheat pennies in Philadelphia. No mint mark. 41.7 million in Denver D Mint mark. 50.1 million in San Francisco S Mint mark. Combined, over 276 million pennies were produced that year, making the 1929 penny fairly common among early wheat cents. But what happens when that coin is in bad condition? A 1929 wheat penny in poor, heavily circulated or damaged condition, meaning it's worn nearly flat, has corrosion, pitting, major scratches, or discoloration, holds mostly historical and sentimental value. In the coin market, this condition typically falls into the good G4 or about good Ag3 range. The design is visible, but all major details are worn down, and many features are faint or missing. In this state, the coin's market value is typically 1 to 5 cents, depending on exact wear and the mint mark. A 19-9D or 19-9S may be slightly more desirable, but the difference in value is minimal in bad condition. That said, some collectors still enjoy holding these pieces as part of date and mint sets, especially when filling slots in classic Lincoln cent albums. Even the most worn 1929 wheat penny connects you to the world of 96 years ago. When Herbert Hoover became president, the stock market was about to crash, and America stood on the brink of the Great Depression. What causes a penny to reach such bad condition? The answer is time and use. These coins have passed through countless hands, survived decades in circulation, and were often stored loose in damp drawers, basements, or jars. Exposure to moisture and air causes corrosion. Improper cleaning with abrasives or chemicals damages the surface, and heavy wear slowly erases details. While a 1929 penny in poor shape won't make you rich, it still has educational and collectible value. It's a great coin for beginner collectors, history students, or anyone who enjoys the feel of old American money. In your pocket change or tucked inside an old coin jar, you might find a copper coin that looks like any other penny, but it's not. This coin carries a story, a tribute to a president, a nation in transition, and a legacy carved in metal. Today, we explored the 2009 Lincoln Presidency Bicentennial Penny, found in fine condition, circulated, slightly worn, but still proudly telling the tale of Abraham Lincoln's final chapter. In 2009, the United States Mint released a special one-year series of 4 pennies to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent. Each coin in the series represents a different stage of Lincoln's life: his birth and early childhood, formative years in Indiana, professional life in Illinois, and the one we focus on today, his presidency in Washington, D.C. The presidency design is the 4th and final release in the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial series. On the reverse, you'll see an image of the U.S. Capitol dome, but it's not the dome we know today. It's still under construction, just as it was during Lincoln's presidency. The partially built dome is deeply symbolic. It represents a nation divided, but also a nation moving forward, striving to complete what it had begun. Just like Lincoln's efforts to preserve the Union during the Civil War, Lincoln never saw the finished dome. It was completed in 1866, a year after his assassination. Yet this image, the incomplete Capitol, reminds us of Lincoln's unfinished work: equality, unity, and the healing of a broken country. The obverse, or front of the coin, remains unchanged, bearing Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln that first appeared on the cent in 1909. The date 2009 appears to the right of Lincoln's bust, and just below it is the D mint mark, indicating this particular coin was minted in Denver. The Denver Mint struck approximately 198 million of these presidency-designed pennies in 2009. That's a large mintage, making the coin common in circulation, especially in worn or fine condition. So, what exactly does fine condition mean? In coin grading terms, fine condition F12 indicates moderate circulation. The coin has visible wear, but the major details are still clearly readable. On the obverse, Lincoln's outline and facial features are worn, but visible. On the reverse, the Capitol building shows general detail, though finer lines and architectural features may be faint or partially smoothed out. In this condition, the collector value is modest. A 2009 presidency penny in fine condition typically sells for around 1 to 5 cents, depending on eye appeal. It may not bring high dollar value, but it remains historically meaningful, especially to collectors assembling the full 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial set. That said, this coin can be more valuable in better grades. In uncirculated mint state condition, especially with strong red color and no marks, the value can rise to $1 to $5 or more. Certified examples graded Ms. 66 or higher by PCGs or NGC may fetch $10 to $20 plus, depending on rarity of quality. And there's something else worth noting: a small number of errors and die varieties exist for the 2009 presidency penny. These include die cracks, struck through errors, and doubling on the Capitol dome or lettering. If you come across an odd-looking coin, it's always worth a closer inspection under magnification, and potentially worth far more than face value. So, what should you do if you find a 2009 Lincoln presidency penny in fine condition? You may not get rich, but you do hold a piece of America's story. This coin honors the most critical chapter in Abraham Lincoln's life: his time as president during the nation's darkest hour. Even in circulated, worn condition, this penny is part of a powerful tribute to the values of unity, leadership, and perseverance.
The 1983 Washington silver quarter dollar with the P mint mark. This coin is especially interesting because of its potential value, even in normal circulated condition. First, let's be clear: 1983 Washington quarters were not minted in silver for circulation. They were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition. So if you come across a 1983 quarter and it looks silver, it's most likely just a standard coin with some discoloration or wear. That said, there are rare exceptions where mint errors or off-metal strikes can give the appearance of silver or result in different weight characteristics. The P mint mark indicates that the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1983, no mint sets were issued by the U.S. Mint, which means collectors couldn't get pristine examples directly from the mint. As a result, high-grade 1983 quarters, especially those from circulation that remain in excellent condition, are significantly harder to find compared to other years. In average circulated condition, a 1983 P quarter typically holds only its face value of 25 cents. However, if your coin is in better than average shape, especially if it's in mint state or close to uncirculated, it can fetch a premium on the collector's market. For example, quarters graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services can sell for between $20 and $40. The real jump in value happens when you move into MS67 territory. At that grade, a 1983 P quarter might be worth $150 or more, depending on the market and the demand at the time. Coins with full strike details, few contact marks, and strong luster tend to command the highest prices. Some extremely high-grade examples have even sold for over $500 at auction, but those are quite rare. Again, condition is everything when it comes to modern clad coinage. Coins that are clean, well-struck, and have not been damaged or cleaned improperly have the best chance of achieving these higher price points. It's also worth noting that there are some known varieties and errors for this coin, such as doubling on the lettering or issues with the minting die. These can increase the coin's value significantly, especially if verified by a grading service. If you believe you have a 1983 quarter with the Philadelphia Mint mark that appears to be in excellent condition or has a unique appearance, it may be worth having it professionally graded. Even though most are common, the right combination of preservation and rarity can turn a simple pocket find into a valuable collectible. Next up, the 1979 Washington quarter, specifically the one with the Denver Mint mark or D, and what it's worth today if you have one in worn, circulated condition. Let's start with a bit of background. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. By 1979, the design was well established, featuring George Washington's profile on the front, or obverse, and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. These quarters were minted primarily for daily transactions and made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, not silver. It's important to clarify that because some people assume all old quarters are silver, but that stopped for regular circulation coins in 1964. The 1979D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint. That's what the small d on the right side of the coin, under Washington's ponytail, indicates. That year, over 489 million of these coins were produced, making them very common in circulation. Now, let's talk about value. If you have a 1979D quarter in worn condition, which means it has visible wear from circulation, maybe some scratches or loss of detail, the value is usually just its face value, 25 cents. This is because of how common these coins are and the fact that they contain no precious metal like silver. That said, some collectors still look for coins with specific characteristics, like unusual errors or minting mistakes. For example, if your quarter has an off-center strike, a double die, or any other visible flaw that occurred during the minting process, that could increase its value. But for a typical worn 1979D quarter with no special errors, the value remains minimal, about 25 cents to, at most, $1 from a collector who might be looking to fill a spot in a circulated set. Now, if your coin is in better conditions, it has almost no wear and sharp details, it might be considered uncirculated or mint state. Those coins, especially if graded professionally by a service like PCGS or NGC, can sell for more. In those cases, values can range from a few dollars up to around $10 or even $20 depending on the grade. But again, that's for coins in near-perfect condition, not the typical worn ones most people find and change. So to sum it up, if you have a worn 1979D Washington quarter, its value in today's market is around 25 cents. Unless it has a rare error or is in exceptional condition, it's not worth more than face value. Next up, the 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark, specifically in damaged or worn condition, and explore what it's actually worth in today's coin market. The Washington quarter is a familiar piece of American coinage. First minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By 1974, the quarter was no longer made of silver, but of a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means any 1974 quarter you come across is not a silver coin, regardless of how shiny it might appear. Now, let's focus on a specific variation, the 1974 quarter with no mint mark. These were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike quarters from Denver, which carry a D mint mark, Philadelphia coins from that era typically bear no mint mark at all. This makes them very common, with hundreds of millions of them produced. When we're talking about coin value, there are several key factors that affect price: rarity, demand, condition, and whether there are any unique errors. Unfortunately, a 1974 quarter with no mint mark and damaged. Heavily circulated or poor condition is considered very common and does not have any numismatic premium in most cases. In the current market, a damaged or heavily worn 1974 no mint mark quarter is worth exactly its face value, 25 cents. That's because collectors typically seek coins in high-grade condition with sharp details, minimal wear, and original luster. A damaged quarter, whether it has scratches, bends, discoloration, or other signs of wear, is not something collectors would usually pay extra for. Even in slightly better circulated condition, like good or very good grade, these coins still tend to be worth only face value. In uncirculated or mint state condition, however, they can be worth more, sometimes up to a few dollars depending on the grade. But in damaged or poor condition, their value remains minimal. There are rare exceptions when error coins, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or clipped planchettes, can boost a coin's value. But for a standard 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark and showing clear signs of damage or circulation, there's no added value beyond 25 cents. To summarize, if you have a 1974 quarter without a mint mark and it's in damaged condition, it's best considered spendable change. While it may not hold collector value, it's still a piece of American history, a reminder of everyday coinage from the 1970s. Next up, the 1984 Washington quarter dollar from the Philadelphia Mint, marked with a small p on the obverse side, is a coin that's still commonly found in circulation today. While these quarters were minted in large numbers and are not made of silver, there are a few things that can make them more valuable than just face value. Most 1984 P Washington quarters were struck in copper nickel clad, not silver. Silver quarters stopped being made for circulation after 1964. So, if your 1984 quarter looks silver, it might just be a normal clad coin with some toning or surface wear. However, it's still worth checking the details. The majority of these quarters, in circulated condition, are worth around 25 cents to $1, depending on wear and eye appeal. In better condition, known as uncirculated or mint state, the value can go higher. If you have a 1984 P quarter in excellent condition, with little to no signs of wear, good luster, and sharp details, it might grade at MS65 or higher. In that condition, the coin could sell for about $5 to $10 on the collector market. A coin graded MS67 or higher can fetch significantly more. As of now, the highest grade examples, certified by major grading services, have sold at auction for over $100. There are no major errors or varieties commonly known for the 1984 P quarter, but any unusual features like double dies, off-center strikes, or other mint errors can increase value dramatically. Error coins are prized by collectors and their values vary based on rarity and condition. To sum it up, a regular 1984 Washington quarter with a P mint mark in good condition is worth slightly more than face value, typically under $1, but in mint state or with rare errors, it can be worth several dollars, and in exceptional cases, even over $100. Next up, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that has sparked interest among collectors. Even in less than perfect condition, while many may overlook damaged or low-grade coins, certain features can still give them value depending on their rarity, metal content, and demand in the collector market. Let's dive into the history, composition, and current value of this specific coin. The 1966 Washington quarter was minted during a transitional period in U.S. coinage. Prior to 1965, quarters were struck in 90% silver. However, due to rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint removed silver from circulating quarters starting in 1965. That means the 1966 quarter is made of a clad composition, specifically, a copper core with a nickel outer layer. Despite its silver-like appearance, it does not contain any actual silver. That's an important distinction because some collectors mistakenly assume the 1966 quarter has silver value. In reality, it does not. Another detail to note is that quarters minted in 1965 through 1967 do not carry a mint mark. That means whether a coin was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, there's no visible mint letter on the coin. So the lack of a mint mark on a 1966 quarter is normal and not a rare feature. Now, what about its value in today's market, especially in what's known as full damage or dot condition? Full damage typically refers to coins that are heavily worn, scratched, dented, or corroded. Dot condition might refer to marks or pitting that appear on the surface, either from environmental damage or poor storage. These conditions drastically lower a coin's collector value. For a 1966 quarter in this level of damage, the coin holds no premium value above its face value of 25 cents. Most coin dealers would not pay more for it, and it's unlikely to attract buyers on resale platforms unless it has an extremely unusual error, which is rare. In average circulated condition, a 1966 quarter without any damage is still worth around 25 cents. Even in mint state condition, its value would only go up to about $1 to $3, depending on the grade and overall eye appeal. In high-grade condition, certified by professional grading services such as MS-65 or higher, values can reach around $10 to $25, but for a fully damaged or pitted coin, especially without any unique error or anomaly, the value in today's market remains at face value. That means it's worth exactly $0.25 or 25 cents. To sum it up, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, without a mint mark, is a common coin from a high mintage year with no silver content. In damaged condition, its value remains at face value. It's a good piece for circulation and educational purposes, but not a profitable item for resale. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more coin collecting content, see you in next time. Happy collecting. The 1983 Washington silver quarter dollar with the P mint mark. This coin is especially interesting because of its potential value, even in normal circulated condition. First, let's be clear, 1983 Washington quarters were not minted in silver for circulation. They were made from a copper-nickel clad composition. So if you come across a 1983 quarter and it looks silver, it's most likely just a standard coin with some discoloration or wear. That said, there are rare exceptions where mint errors or off-metal strikes can give the appearance of silver or result in different weight characteristics. The P mint mark indicates that the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1983, no mint sets were issued by the U.S. Mint, which means collectors couldn't get pristine examples directly from the mint. As a result, high-grade 1983 quarters, especially those from circulation that remain in excellent condition, are significantly harder to find compared to other years. In average circulated condition, a 1983 P quarter typically holds only its face value of 25 cents. However, if your coin is in better than average shape, especially if it's in mint state or close to uncirculated, it can fetch a premium on the collector's market. For example, quarters graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services can sell for between $20 and $40. The real jump in value happens when you move into MS-67 territory. At that grade, a 1983 P quarter might be worth $150 or more, depending on the market and the demand at the time. Coins with full strike details, few contact marks, and strong luster tend to command the highest prices. Some extremely high-grade examples have even sold for over $500 at auction, but those are quite rare. Again, condition is everything when it comes to modern clad coinage. Coins that are clean, well-struck, and have not been damaged or cleaned improperly have the best chance of achieving these higher price points. It's also worth noting that there are some known varieties and errors for this coin, such as doubling on the lettering or issues with the minting die. These can increase the coin's value significantly, especially if verified by a grading service. If you believe you have a 1983 quarter with the Philadelphia Mint mark that appears to be in excellent condition or has a unique appearance, it may be worth having it professionally graded. Even though most are common, the right combination of preservation and rarity can turn a simple pocket find into a valuable collectible. Next up, the 1979 Washington quarter, specifically the one with the Denver Mint mark or D, and what it's worth today if you have one in worn, circulated condition. Let's start with a bit of background. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. By 1979, the design was well established, featuring George Washington's profile on the front, or obverse, and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. These quarters were minted primarily for daily transactions and made of a copper-nickel clad composition, not silver. It's important to clarify that because some people assume all old quarters are silver, but that stopped for regular circulation coins in 1964. The 1979D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint. That's what the small d on the right side of the coin, under Washington's ponytail, indicates. That year, over 489 million of these coins were produced, making them very common in circulation. Now, let's talk about value. If you have a 1979D quarter in worn condition, which means it has visible wear from circulation, maybe some scratches or loss of detail, the value is usually just its face value, 25 cents. This is because of how common these coins are and the fact that they contain no precious metal like silver. That said, some collectors still look for coins with specific characteristics, like unusual errors or minting mistakes. For example, if your quarter has an off-center strike, a double die, or any other visible flaw that occurred during the minting process, that could increase its value. But for a typical worn 1979D quarter with no special errors, the value remains minimal, about 25 cents to, at most, $1 from a collector who might be looking to fill a spot in a circulated set. Now, if your coin is in better conditions, it has almost no wear and sharp details, it might be considered uncirculated or mint state. Those coins, especially if graded professionally by a service like PCGS or NGC, can sell for more. In those cases, values can range from a few dollars up to around $10 or even $20 depending on the grade. But again, that's for coins in near-perfect condition, not the typical worn ones most people find and change. So to sum it up, if you have a worn 1979D Washington quarter, its value in today's market is around 25 cents. Unless it has a rare error or is in exceptional condition, it's not worth more than face value. Next up, the 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark, specifically in damaged or worn condition, and explore what it's actually worth in today's coin market. The Washington quarter is a familiar piece of American coinage. First minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By 1974, the quarter was no longer made of silver, but of a copper-nickel clad composition. That means any 1974 quarter you come across is not a silver coin, regardless of how shiny it might appear. Now, let's focus on a specific variation, the 1974 quarter with no mint mark. These were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike quarters from Denver, which carry a D-mint mark, Philadelphia coins from that era typically bear no mint mark at all. This makes them very common, with hundreds of millions of them produced. When we're talking about coin value, there are several key factors that affect price: rarity, demand, condition, and whether there are any unique errors. Unfortunately, a 1974 quarter with no mint mark in damaged, heavily circulated, or poor condition is considered very common and does not have any numismatic premium in most cases. In the current market, a damaged or heavily worn 1974 no mint mark quarter is worth exactly its face value, 25 cents. That's because collectors typically seek coins in high-grade condition with sharp details, minimal wear, and original luster. A damaged quarter, whether it has scratches, bends, discoloration, or other signs of wear, is not something collectors would usually pay extra for. Even in slightly better circulated condition, like good or very good grade, these coins still tend to be worth only face value. In uncirculated or mint state condition, however, they can be worth more, sometimes up to a few dollars depending on the grade. But in damaged or poor condition, their value remains minimal. There are rare exceptions when error coins, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or clipped planchettes, can boost a coin's value. But for a standard 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark and showing clear signs of damage or circulation, there's no added value beyond 25 cents. To summarize, if you have a 1974 quarter without a mint mark and it's in damaged condition, it's best considered spendable change. While it may not hold collector value, it's still a piece of American history, a reminder of everyday coinage from the 1970s. Next up, the 1984 Washington quarter dollar from the Philadelphia Mint, marked with a small p on the obverse side, is a coin that's still commonly found in circulation today. While these quarters were minted in large numbers and are not made of silver, there are a few things that can make them more valuable than just face value. Most 1984 P Washington quarters were struck in copper-nickel clad, not silver. Silver quarters stopped being made for circulation after 1964. So, if your 1984 quarter looks silver, it might just be a normal clad coin with some toning or surface wear. However, it's still worth checking the details. The majority of these quarters, in circulated condition, are worth around 25 cents to $1, depending on wear and eye appeal. In better condition, known as uncirculated or mint state, the value can go higher. If you have a 1984 P quarter in excellent condition, with little to no signs of wear, good luster, and sharp details, it might grade at MS65 or higher. In that condition, the coin could sell for about $5 to $10 on the collector market. A coin graded MS67 or higher can fetch significantly more. As of now, the highest grade examples, certified by major grading services, have sold at auction for over $100. There are no major errors or varieties commonly known for the 1984 P quarter, but any unusual features like double dies, off-center strikes, or other mint errors can increase value dramatically. Error coins are prized by collectors and their values vary based on rarity and condition. To sum it up, a regular 1984 Washington quarter with a P mint mark in good condition is worth slightly more than face value, typically under $1, but in mint state or with rare errors, it can be worth several dollars, and in exceptional cases, even over $100. Next up, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that has sparked interest among collectors. Even in less than perfect condition, while many may overlook damaged or low-grade coins, certain features can still give them value depending on their rarity, metal content, and demand in the collector market. Let's dive into the history, composition, and current value of this specific coin. The 1966 Washington quarter was minted during a transitional period in U.S. coinage. Prior to 1965, quarters were struck in 90% silver, However, due to rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint removed silver from circulating quarters starting in 1965. That means the 1966 quarter is made of a clad composition, specifically, a copper core with a nickel outer layer. Despite its silver-like appearance, it does not contain any actual silver. That's an important distinction because some collectors mistakenly assume the 1966 quarter has silver value. In reality, it does not. Another detail to note is that quarters minted in 1965 through 1967 do not carry a mint mark. That means whether a coin was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, there's no visible mint letter on the coin. So the lack of a mint mark on a 1966 quarter is normal and not a rare feature. Now, what about its value in today's market, especially in what's known as full damage or dot condition? Full damage typically refers to coins that are heavily worn, scratched, dented, or corroded. Dot condition might refer to marks or pitting that appear on the surface, either from environmental damage or poor storage. These conditions drastically lower a coin's collector value. For a 1966 quarter, in this level of damage, the coin holds no premium value above its face value of 25 cents. Most coin dealers would not pay more for it, and it's unlikely to attract buyers on resale platforms unless it has an extremely unusual error, which is rare. In average circulated condition, a 1966 quarter without any damage is still worth around 25 cents. Even in mint state condition, its value would only go up to about $1 to $3, depending on the grade and overall eye appeal. In high-grade condition, certified by professional grading services such as MS65 or higher, values can reach around $10 to $25, but for a fully damaged or pitted coin, especially without any unique error or anomaly, the value in today's market remains at face value. That means it's worth exactly $0.25, or 25 cents. To sum it up, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, without a mint mark, is a common coin from a high mintage year with no silver content. In damaged condition, its value remains at face value. It's a good piece for circulation and educational purposes, but not a profitable item for resale. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more coin collecting content, see you in next time. Happy collecting. Up the 1983 Washington quarter with the Denver Mint mark, often referred to as the 1983D quarter, may appear like just another pocket change coin to the casual observer. However, for collectors and numismatists, it holds a special place due to its unique circumstances, historical context, and collectible value. In this video, we will take a closer look at why the 1983D Washington quarter is considered valuable, especially in worn condition, and how much it's worth in today's coin market. The Washington Quarter Series began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Originally, these quarters were struck in 90% silver until 1964. Starting in 1965, the composition changed to a copper-nickel clad due to the rising cost of silver. The 1983D quarter is one of these clad coins, meaning it contains no silver content. So why would such a coin be valuable? To understand the value of the 1983D Washington quarter, we must look at the context of coin production in the early 1980s. The United States Mint faced budget constraints, and in 1982 and 1983, the Mint did not produce official uncirculated mint sets for collectors. This decision had a lasting effect on the availability of high-quality coins from those years. Without mint sets, collectors had no easy access to coins in pristine, uncirculated condition, making those years particularly scarce in higher grades. Most coins minted in 1983, including the 1983D quarter, went directly into circulation. As a result, the vast majority of these coins became worn over time through everyday use. This heavy circulation reduced the number of well-preserved examples available to collectors today. So even though the 1983D quarter was struck in large numbers, over 617 million pieces, the number of surviving coins in excellent condition is relatively low. This has led to increased interest in value, especially for coins that remain in better condition despite the odds. But the focus of this video is on the 1983D quarter in worn or circulated condition, the type of coin you might still find in your pocket change today. Even in worn condition, these coins can be worth more than their face value, although not dramatically so. The primary value in a circulated 1983D quarter comes from its scarcity relative to collector demand, not from its metal content. Untypical circulated condition. A 1983D Washington quarter might show noticeable signs of wear. These include flattening of the high points in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers on the reverse side. Despite the wear, collectors may still be interested in such a coin if it retains full rims, has no significant damage, and displays a clear mint mark and date. As of today's market, the value of a 1983D quarter in average worn condition generally ranges from 30 cents to around $1. This range depends on the level of wear, overall eye appeal, and demand among collectors. Coins that are closer to the higher end of circulated grades, such as very fine or extremely fine, might be worth closer to $1, especially if they have no major blemishes. That said, there are a few specific traits and anomalies that can increase the value of a 198 3D quarter, even in circulated condition. One such example is the presence of errors or die varieties. Errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or clipped planchets can attract collectors who specialize in error coins. While these are not common, when found, they can significantly increase a coin's value, sometimes reaching into the tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on the severity and visibility of the error. Another factor that might elevate the value of a worn 198 3D quarter is its provenance. For example, if the coin has been part of a notable collection, or if it has been certified and graded by a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC, it might attract higher offers. Even in circulated condition, certification can boost the perceived value by confirming authenticity and preserving the coin in a tamper-evident holder. A point worth discussing is the role of demand in driving prices. The numismatic market is influenced by trends, and there has been growing interest in collecting complete day-10 mint mark sets of Washington quarters. Collectors aiming to assemble a full set that includes every year and mint combination will need a 198 3D coin. Due to the lack of mint sets that year, finding a decent example can be more difficult than other modern dates, pushing up the price even for circulated coins. Additionally, some collectors focus on so-called conditional rarities coins that are not rare in number but are rare in high quality due to circulation where, although this does not directly affect the value of worn coins, it does increase overall interest in coins from this date and mint, adding a small premium to even the more common circulated examples. It is also important to distinguish between circulated coins and coins in mint state condition. While worn examples of the 1980 3D quarter can be worth up to $1, coins that are uncirculated and have been graded MS65 or higher by a reputable grading company can sell for significantly more. For instance, an MS65 coin might be worth $20 to $30, and higher grade examples can bring even more at auction. However, those are rare and outside the scope of this discussion. In summary, the 198 3D Washington quarter is not valuable because of its metal content or because it is rare in terms of mintage numbers. Instead, its value lies in the scarcity of well-preserved examples due to the absence of official mint sets in 1983. This has created a market where even circulated coins are of interest to collectors. If you come across one of these coins in your change, it's worth holding on to, especially if it is in decent shape. While you are unlikely to get rich from a single worn 198 3D quarter, its value above face value reflects broader trends in the coin collecting world. It teaches us that history, minting decisions, and collector demand can all influence the worth of what might seem like a common coin. If you're interested in coin collecting or already have a collection, the 198 3D quarter is certainly a piece to look out for and appreciate. Next up, the 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark. We'll examine what makes this coin interesting, whether it contains silver, what factors affect its value, and what you can realistically expect to receive if you have one in your collection. Today, let's begin with the basics. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932. To commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, it quickly became a permanent fixture of U.S. coinage and has remained in circulation ever since, though it has undergone several design and composition changes over the decades. The 1974 Washington quarter is one of the last of the pre-bicentennial quarters, as 1975 and 1976 featured the special bicentennial reverse design. The 1974 quarter features the familiar image of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan. On the reverse side, we see the heraldic eagle clutching arrows, with olive branches beneath it, also designed by Flanagan. This reverse design was used from 1932 until the introduction of the state quarters in 1999. Now, one of the most frequently asked questions about the 1974 quarter is whether it contains any silver. The short and simple answer is no. The U.S. Mint stopped producing circulating silver quarters after 1964. From 1965 onward, quarters were made from a clad composition consisting of copper and nickel. So, the 1974 quarter is made of copper-nickel clad, not silver, unless it is a very specific collector's item, which we'll discuss later. The next point of interest is the absence of a mint mark. If your 1974 quarter does not have a mint mark, it means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1974, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 801 million quarters. Because of this high mintage, the 1974 quarter without a mint mark is generally not considered rare. It's a common coin that you can still find in circulation today. So, what is its value in today's market? If you're holding a 1974 quarter, without a mint mark that has been in circulation and shows typical signs of wear. The value is, for the most part, 25 cents. In normal damaged or worn condition, its value remains at face value. This means that most examples found in pocket change do not have any premium over their face value. However, there are exceptions based on condition, unique errors, or rare varieties. If you have a 1974 quarter that is in uncirculated or mint state condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear and retains its original luster, it can be worth more. In the coin collecting world, condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating better preservation. A 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark in MS62, MS63 condition may be worth between $1 and $5 depending on the buyer and the market. Coins graded MS65 or higher, which are coins with strong luster, minimal marks, and sharp details, can sell for $10 or more. A coin graded MS67 or higher, which is extremely well preserved and nearly flawless, can command even higher prices, potentially reaching $100 or more, but only in the highest possible grades. It's important to note that these values depend heavily on the coin grading system, collector demand, and market conditions. Coins certified by a third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC tend to sell for more, especially if they achieve high grades. Now let's talk about rare varieties and errors. While the standard 1974 quarter is quite common, certain error coins can carry significant value. These errors include off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchettes, or coins struck on the wrong planchet. A double die obverse or reverse is when the coin was struck by a die that had been improperly manufactured, resulting in doubled features on the coin. These types of errors are uncommon, but collectors are always on the lookout for them. Another possibility is coins struck on silver planchette, though it is incredibly rare and unlikely. A few error coins from the 1970s have been discovered that were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchettes from previous years. If a 1974 quarter was accidentally struck on a 40% silver planchet, such as those used for 1970s half dollars, the coin would be significantly more valuable. These coins must be authenticated by a professional and weighed to confirm their composition, as the weight of a silver coin would differ slightly from the normal clad coin. To check whether your quarter might be silver by mistake, you can weigh it using a precise scale. A normal copper-nickel clad quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams, while a 90% silver quarter would weigh about 6.25 grams. Any deviation from the standard weight could be an indication of a wrong planchette error, though the chances of this happening are extremely low. If you're curious about whether your coin has any error or holds potential value above face value, consider having it evaluated by a reputable coin dealer or sending it to a professional grading service for authentication. So, to summarize, the 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark in normal damaged or worn condition holds no special premium. It remains worth 25 cents. If the coin is in mint state condition or higher, its value can increase modestly, ranging from a few dollars up to over $100 for high-grade certified specimens. Rare errors or unique varieties can make the coin significantly more valuable, but those are exceptions and not the norm. If you're hoping to sell a standard circulated 1974 quarter, you likely won't find buyers offering more than face value. But if you enjoy coin collecting, even common coins like this can be a great way to start learning about history, minting practices, and grading systems. Over time, you may even come across something rare. Asterisk. Next up, the 1987 quarter minted in Denver. Identified by the D-Mint mark, and discuss whether it holds any special value in today's market. Specifically, we will examine the coin's characteristics, its mintage, and what factors influence its worth when found in good condition. We'll also clarify some misconceptions about silver content and help you understand whether the 1987D quarter is truly valuable or simply a common coin from circulation. First, let's begin by exploring the historical background of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, originally intended to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse of the coin features a profile of George Washington based on a bust by sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon, designed by John Flanagan. This design became a standard and has undergone only minor modifications over the decades. The reverse originally featured an eagle with outstretched wings and olive branches beneath, symbolizing strength and peace. Now, focusing on the 1987 quarter specifically, it's important to understand its composition. By 1987, the United States Mint was producing quarters primarily composed of a copper-nickel clad, not silver. Many people mistakenly believe all older quarters contain silver, but that's not the case. Silver was removed from quarters starting in 1965. From 1965 onward, quarters were made using an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a core of pure copper. Therefore, the standard 1987D quarter does not contain any silver. The D Mint mark on the coin indicates that it was produced at the Denver Mint. In 1987, the Denver Mint struck over 655 million quarters. With such a high mintage number, the 1987D quarter is generally considered common, because it was not part of a limited run or special series. Most circulated examples of this coin are readily available in the market and hold only face value. However, that doesn't mean there is no value to be found. When it comes to coin collecting, condition plays a key role. Coins are graded based on their condition, from circulated grades like good, very good, or fine, to higher grades such as extremely fine, about uncirculated, and uncirculated. Beyond those, coins are graded on a numerical scale known as the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS65 or higher is typically considered mint state, meaning it shows no signs of wear and retains its original luster, a 1987 quarter, in good condition, that is, with visible wear but all major details still readable, does not generally command a high premium. In most cases, it may be worth only its face value of 25 cents. However, there are a few exceptions that can raise a coin's value, even for common dates like this one. These include errors, high grades, and unusual toning. Let's take a moment to discuss error coins. Error coins can result from misaligned dies, double strikes, off-center strikes, or other mistakes during the minting process. These kinds of errors are relatively rare, but they do occur. If a 1987D quarter exhibits a dramatic error, it could be worth more to collectors. For instance, an off-center strike or a double die obverse could fetch a higher price depending on the severity of the error and its overall appeal to collectors. Minor errors may increase the coin's value slightly, while more dramatic ones could raise the price into the tens or even hundreds of dollars, though such cases are not common. Another factor to consider is condition. Coins that have never entered circulation and have been preserved in mint condition can be worth more. A 1987D quarter in mint state condition, graded MS65 or higher, could sell for more than face value. According to data from coin grading companies and online auctions, a 1987D quarter graded MS65 may sell for around $3 to $5. Higher grades, such as MS67 or MS68, can reach prices upwards of $20 or more, depending on demand and quality. However, such high-grade coins are relatively rare, and not all uncirculated coins automatically qualify for these top grades. Most coins from circulation are not in mint state condition and thus hold only nominal value. You may also come across coins with interesting or attractive toning. Toning occurs when a coin's surface reacts with the environment, developing hues of blue, gold, or purple. While toning doesn't always add value, some collectors are drawn to aesthetically pleasing examples, and these coins may sell for a premium. It's worth mentioning that some individuals believe they have found a silver version of the ND1987D quarter. This belief often stems from the coin's color or sound. However, the United States Mint did not issue any silver Washington quarters for circulation after 1964. Any silver 1987D quarter is either a mistake such as a coin struck on the wrong planche pan, which is exceedingly rare. It may be a plated or altered coin, which typically holds little to no added value. If you suspect your coin is silver, you can weigh it. A standard copper-nickel quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a 90% silver quarter weighs around 6.25 grams. If your 1987D quarter weighs significantly more than 5.67 grams, it might be worth having it examined by a professional. In summary, the 1987D Washington quarter is a common coin. It was produced in large quantities and does not contain silver. In circulated condition, it is worth 25 cents. In mint state grades, especially those certified MS65 or higher, it may be worth a few dollars. In rare cases where a coin displays a significant mint error or exceptional toning, its value could increase. But these instances are the exception rather than the rule. If you own a 1987D quarter in good condition, it is a nice addition to a coin collection, especially for completing a date. However, it should not be considered a high-value coin unless it has been professionally graded and verified to have qualities that distinguish it from the rest. To conclude, while the 1987D quarter may not be a rare or highly valuable coin in most cases, understanding its background and evaluating its condition can help you determine its place in your collection. If you come across one in your pocket change, it's a small piece of American history and a reminder of the artistry and function of everyday currency. Next up, the 1990D Washington quarter is a coin that might look like just another piece of American pocket change, but in some cases, it can be more than that, especially to collectors and numismatists. In this video, we're going to take a close look at the 1990D Washington quarter, specifically one in extra fine condition, and break down what makes it valuable, how much it's worth in today's market, and what to watch for if you happen to come across one. First, let's talk about what the 1990D Washington quarter is. The coin was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark, located on the obverse side, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, originally designed by John Flanagan and first used in 1932. The reverse design at the time still featured the heraldic eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, which had been used for decades before the state quarters program began in 1999. Now, one important detail to clarify is that the 1990D Washington quarter was not minted in silver for general circulation. By 1990, the United States Mint had long since stopped producing 90% silver quarters for circulation. That change happened in 1965 when the mint switched to a clad composition of copper and nickel, due to rising silver prices and the cost of producing silver coins. So, if you come across a 1990D quarter, it is most likely made of the standard copper-nickel clad composition. That said, there are a few rare exceptions. The U.S. Mint did produce silver-proof sets in 1990, but those were struck at the San Francisco Mint and bear the S Mint mark. If you somehow have a 1990 quarter with a D Mint mark and it's truly made of silver, that would be considered a mint error or an off-metal strike, which is incredibly rare and potentially very valuable. However, it's crucial to have such a coin authenticated and tested by a reputable coin grading service or numismatic expert to confirm its composition. For the purposes of this video, let's assume we are discussing the standard 199OD Washington quarter, struck and copper-nickel clad, in extra fine condition. Extra fine, or XF, is a grade that suggests the coin has light wear on the highest points of the design, but still retains most of its details. There is still some luster, and the coin shows clear definition in areas like Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. It's not mint state, but it's well preserved. So, how much is a 1990D Washington quarter worth in extra fine condition in today's market? The short answer is, usually, just its face value, which is 25 cents. Because these coins were produced in large quantities, over 927 million at the Denver Mint alone, they are not rare. And because they are not made of silver, they do not carry any intrinsic bullion value. Still, there are exceptions based on collector interest and specific conditions. For example, some quarters from this year in mint may be slightly more desirable due to errors or other striking anomalies. Coins that feature double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks may be of interest to era coin collectors and can sell for higher premiums, depending on severity and uniqueness. Let's take a moment to talk about population and availability. With nearly a billion 1990D quarters minted, the sheer volume of these coins in circulation means that even higher grade examples are not hard to find. Most coin dealers and grading services agree that unless a 1990D quarter is in mint state 65 or better, or features a rare error, it is not worth submitting for grading because the market value will likely not justify the cost. That said, let's examine some actual market figures. As of today, a standard 1990D quarter in extra fine condition generally sells for around 30 to 50 cents in the collector market. Some dealers might sell them for a little more, especially if they are part of a date and mint mark collection. Still, these coins are considered very common, and demand is low. However, if the coin is in mint state, especially MS65 or better, then its value can increase significantly. In mint state 65, a 1990D Washington quarter might sell for about $5 to $10. Depending on the buyer and the seller, coins in MS67 condition have been known to sell for $50 or more. But such high grades are not typical and usually only appeal to advanced collectors working on registry sets. Again, if your coin has a known error such as a broad strike, off-center strike, or a notable die clash, its value can go up. Error coins are a separate market, and their prices vary widely depending on rarity, demand, and visual appeal. A 1990D quarter with a dramatic off-center strike, for example, might sell for $10 to $25 or more. Let's go back to the idea of a silver 1990D quarter. Although it's unlikely, there are always stories in numismatics of unusual pieces making their way into circulation due to mint errors or test strikes. If someone were to find a 1990D quarter that tested positive for silver content, it would almost certainly be an error coin and could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. However, this would require metallurgical testing and third grading and authentication. Without such verification, any claim about silver content would remain speculative. In summary, a typical 1990D Washington quarter in extra fine condition holds only a small premium over face value, perhaps around 50 cents in a collector setting. Depending on demand, its real value comes into play only if the coin has an error, is in an uncirculated state with high grade, or if it were somehow made of silver, which would be highly unusual and likely the result of a mint mistake. So, should you keep or sell a 1990D quarter in extra fine condition? The answer depends on your interest in coin collecting. If you are putting together a complete set of Washington quarters by date and mint mark, it's definitely worth keeping. But if you're looking to profit, this coin by itself, in extra fine condition, is unlikely to bring significant money. To wrap up, the 1990D Washington quarter is a fascinating piece of modern American coinage history. While it's not particularly valuable in extra fine condition, it still has educational and historical worth. It also offers a great opportunity to learn about mint marks, coin grading, and the world of error coins. And who knows, you might just stumble across a rare variety or unusual composition that turns out to be worth much more than face value. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you in next time. Happy collecting!